This was my second attempt at drawing Zoro. Hope you enjoy it, brothers and sisters. Remember to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to see more drawings like this one. Take it easy, nation.
One Piece, Chapter 75 of Maps and Fishmen.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as expected at this point, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the wonderfully written, epically proportioned tale of One Piece. Sorry, I'm kind of running out of words over there, and this is all just ad-libbed. None of it's written out or scripted, as you can probably tell at this point. The last chapter found us really things kind of ending up with Usopp has been stabbed and appears to have been killed by Nami and kicked into the water. And the chapter, pretty much ends shortly after that. Johnny sees this and he's like, oh shit, I have to let everybody else know. Sister Nami has killed Brother Usopp, and he kind of goes running off to tell them. At the end of the chapter, everybody is converging all at once. Zoro, coming from Cocoa Village, running his ass off, trying to get to Arlong Park to save Usopp. And then, of course, they have Momoo pulling them, the giant sea cow, the monster, pulling Luffy, Sanji, and Yusaku. So that's how things end off in the last chapter, and that's how they begin here. We are treated to, it really is kind of cool. It starts off, and they're coming for shore real fast. They can't slow down this Momoo. And he just, coming towards shore, dragging and towing their ship behind. And he winds up going and crashing, into the shore, As he does this, they go and fly up, Sanji, Luffy, and Yusaku. Their boat goes flying up and sailing, through the air, and they're airborne, right? And they're like, oh my God, we're going to crash. So they wind up going and landing and hitting kind of some trees and then into the ground. And they're like, oh, we're on the ground, but we're still moving. So they're flying through the forest, right? Knocking down trees and the boat's going. And then it goes and flashes to Zoro, and he's running his ass off, and he's like, what was that loud noise? I can't stop, though. I need to save Usopp. So he's running, and he's got the Hawaiian shirt on, too. Is it rather comical? But so he's running, and he also it's worth noting too that because two of his swords were broken in the battle with Hawkeye, he only has his one sword, with him now. So I don't know what's going to happen with that in the future, but that's how it is right now. So he's running, and then all of a sudden, he sees the ship coming at him out of the trees, right? And he's like, "What the hell?" And they're like, "Zoro," and Yusaku's brother Zoro, and so he's like, "What the hell? What are you guys doing here?" And Luffy goes, well, we came here to find you, and I thought you were going to get Nami and everything. Have you found Nami yet? And, and he's like, no, and I haven't, and he's like, I have no time to talk. I have to go save Usopp. And as he says that, Johnny comes emerging, from Arlong Park as he's been running to find them. And Johnny says, Brother Usopp's dead. And you're like, what? And it goes to the next page or whatever, and he's just like, he's like, Sister Nami killed Usopp, killed Brother Usopp, and pushed him into the sea. And we're like, what the? And then all of a sudden it just shows this panel of like all four of them, Johnny, Sanji, Luffy, and Zoro all like, that sort of thing. And it's actually pretty cool because, like I said, we don't know at this point if Usopp is dead or not, if he's severely wounded, or what the whole deal was. It certainly appeared as if Nami shanked his ass, though, so we shall see. It then goes and shows us some of the villagers standing on. Actually, it's Nojiko, is the stepsister, the half-sister of Nami, and she's kind of standing there at the beach outside of the village, and she sees a ship, and she's like, "What is that? Is that a naval ship, a navy ship?" And now, if you remember, a few chapters ago when we were introduced to Arlong was making some kind of deal with a naval commander, a bribe of sorts. I'm assuming, just to kind of keep them happy and away and leaving them to their business for him building his Arlong empire. But I don't know exact details of it. So we see this ship on the horizon, and then all of a sudden the little boy from the village comes, and he's like, oh yeah, we managed to get a message out. Do you see the ship? And she says, yeah, that ship. And he goes, oh, they're coming to rescue us. We managed to get a message to the government, to the Navy, and they're coming to rescue us from Arlong's pirates. So it then goes and it takes us onto the ship, and we're introduced very quickly to Commodore Purin Purin. And one of his officers or whatever says, okay, we're there. There's Arlong Park. That's where we're going. And then he's like, okay, men, now remember, this is a standard operation. It's strictly supposed to come in and rescue the surviving inhabitants of Gosa Village. But we're the good, we're this elite fighting group, and and to let these pirates, just to stand and to be there in this Arlong Park, we can't let that happen, can we? And everybody's no. So that they're going to start some shit with Arlong and his crew because he basically says, he's like, these warlords, they're terrible. They think that they can just take over and just control and be outside of the law, right? So we do see that. We then go and it flashes inside, because then they're getting ready to attack, right? And they're pulling up to Arlong Park. Now they wind up firing a cannonball, and then it goes and it flashes to the next panel. It's inside of Arlong Park, and Arlong's like, what the hell? And they're like, they're firing on us, Well, first they say, oh, there's a naval ship approaching and this and that, and there's this brief exchange before the cannonball is actually fired where he's like, okay, go parlay with them and bribe them. If they want any more than 2 million berries, we'll kill them, and all this sort of thing. So that he just basically bribes people to get him out of there, and that's how he handles things. So this cannonball gets fired, and all of a sudden comes flying in there, and they're like, a cannonball, a cannonball. Well, Arlong just goes and fucking just eats the thing, right? And they're like, oh my god, he just ate a cannonball. He took a cannonball to the face. So he eats this thing and chomps on it. You see some smoke coming out of his mouth, and then in the next panel, he just kind of just spits out the remnants of it. And they're like, oh my god, the great power of Arlong. So they're like, would you still want us to parlay with him? And he says, no, go attack him, go take him out or whatever. So then some of his crewmen, some of his other fishmen basically go and say, what, don't send a whole army to let, to do the work of what a few could do. And we're then introduced, now we've seen his other guys, Chew, which is a kisser fishman, and actually one of subscribers informed me about this in the comments, and it also is introduced in here. And then of course there's Hachi, who's like the fun-loving, the octopus one. And then there is Kirubi, and he's a ray fish. So they all have different, obviously different characteristics about them. They all look distinctly different. So apparently these fishmen are all based on actual fish that that are in the sea, and for some reason take after certain tendencies, facial features, things like that of them. So he goes and sends these three out, and basically says, yeah, you know what, that's fine. They won't even last 3 minutes against these three, So these three go out, and basically, I mean, the next several pages is them wreaking havoc upon things. The kisser one, the one that's always going, and it says smack. He's basically smacking his lips or whatever. He goes and that's Chew. He comes up, out of the water, or as they're approaching or whatever, and basically gets on board the ship, and they're like, and the captain's like, and they're like, the cannonball didn't go off. What's going on? There's no explosion. He goes, oh, fire another one. And then as they're getting ready to fire another one, he sees Chew pop up, and he's like, belay that order, and he's going to tell them, we are the great fighting unit of, and he says, of Naval Base 77, and I am Commodore, Commander Purin Purin, and basically doing this big formal thing, and they show a picture of him, and he kind of looks like a little bit of a douche, but that's just my personal opinion from what he appears like. So Chew wastes no time, man, and he hits him with the water cannon, and he's shooting him. They're like, oh, he shot the Commodore. All hell's breaking loose. The other two go, and one of them is busting into the actual rudder and the hull of the ship, and he rips off the rudder, and they're like, a ship with no rudder is basically as good as it being at the bottom of the sea, right? While this is all going on, the huge and mighty strength of the other one, and I think this was Hachi that was there, he's walking on the bottom of the ocean floor, right? And he gets behind a reef, a whole reef, right? It's this big pyramid, cone-like, sharp, stalagmite-looking thing. He starts pushing this fucking thing, And he's going, I just got to get this into place. And you're thinking, my God, these things are really strong, right? This dude's pushing a reef underwater, okay? So we see that he's going to push the reef into the actual path of the ship, and the ship is in it's in a current. It's running in a current towards there, and that's obviously how ships sail. They use the wind, but then they also go and they try to find currents to go into. So they basically say when you push a reef and it blocks up and gets in a current, what happens? And they say it's a maelstrom, right? So they wind up sinking this frickin' ship, and it's pretty cool how they do it. I mean, they work as a team, but, ripping off the rudder so it's dead in the water, and then going and pushing this reef in front of, into the current that's there and moving it into to create this maelstrom, which is basically just like a huge whirlpool storm type thing in the ocean, And they wind up sinking the fucker, So it goes and it flashes back to the people on land, the villagers, and they're like, oh my God, what the hell? They were supposed to come rescue us, And I think it's Nojiko that says, says, and she's like, nobody can escape the wrath of Arlong and his pirates. And you're thinking, man, it goes back and it shows those three come back, and they're basically, and then Arlong goes, I hope it didn't cause you boys too much trouble. And they're like, oh no, that was nothing. They're like, with Nami's maps that she makes for us, because she's obviously a good map maker to tell us where everything is out there, and our powers, we're unstoppable, And then somebody says, oh yeah, Nami's so valuable to the crew and this and that. And then they say, yeah, but Arlong, she's almost got her 100 million berries. Are you still going to keep your deal with her? And Arlong says again, and he mentioned this in the last chapter, he says, I'd rather slit my own throat or cut my own belly open than go against my word. So he's claiming that he's an honorable piece of shit, and that he's actually going to let her go when she hits the 100 million. So the chapter ends up shortly after that. It goes back to it goes back to the not the beach, but basically near the beach where the forest is and everything, with Luffy and Sanji and Zoro and all them. And Luffy's just like, he's all pissed off, and he's just like, he's telling Johnny, he's like, I don't believe it. She was our shipmate. There's no way she would have killed Usopp. And I mean, he's mad, it's this huge full panel thing, and he's yelling. You can tell he's in his face, and he's like, I don't believe that, And Luffy, whether you want to say that he's dumb or he's naive or whatever, he believes in the good in people, and I think he kind of has a little bit of an intuition about people. He gets a feeling about it, and he knows that Nami in his heart, deep down in her heart, is not bad. So Johnny's like, listen, man, you don't want to face it, that's fine, but I saw it with my own eyes. She stabbed him, or she killed him or whatever. So then all of a sudden we see in the last panel of the chapter, we just kind of see like, feet in the bottom of legs, and they're like got, high heels on or whatever. So it's Nami, and she's like, I did what? And or Nami wouldn't do what, or your crewmate wouldn't do what, it's something along those lines, and that's how the chapter ends. So now, like I said, the shit's starting to get thick in here. We were introduced briefly to this, this naval, Commodore and his ship, and thinking, oh, maybe there's actually going to be like this three-way battle going on, but no, it just was really put there to illustrate the power and the might of Arlong and his pirates, his fishmen, when they actually work together, and how they are definitely going to be a tough mountain to climb. So let me know what you think, nation, in the comments down below. Feel free to go ahead and hit the like or thumbs up if you think I deserve it, and then of course subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching you in the next one, nation.
As always, thanks for watching, brothers and sisters, and remember, join the Nerd Nation. It's the right thing to do. Trust me. Tell them Jim sent you.